Come back to another video. Today we'll be testing out Cyberpunk 2077 on the RTX 5060 Ti 16GB version of the card with the Ryzen 7 9800X 3D running at base speed 4.70 GHz and 64GB of DDR5 memory running at 6000 MHz. And that's about it. Let's get into the video and see how good or bad this card performs in this game. Okay, so starting the game off on the game's custom settings that it gave me when I opened the game on 4K with DLSS FrameGen, Multi-FrameGen 4X, with DLSS Performance, Transformer model with a bunch of high and medium and low mixed settings. So we are getting around 171 FPS. Yes, with MFG turned on. And this is the default settings that the game gave us. So yeah, with the latency of 70, almost 70 milliseconds. And I can say the game doesn't feel that bad because we are almost getting around 50 something FPS without FrameGen. So that's why it doesn't feel that bad, but right? It's still a little bit late and you can actually feel the delay a little bit, but it's not terrible. You can play it like this, okay? So this is 4K settings with FrameGen on, multi-FrameGen on. So try turning off multi-FrameGen with the same exact settings with the DLSS Performance, and without multi-FrameGen we can see we can get 85 FPS. Alright, so 85 FPS with the 40 to 50 milliseconds delay, which is pretty normal. Really smooth experience right here. So in 4K, without FrameGen you can get decent FPS with mixed settings, and it's using more than 8 gigabytes of VRAM. And yeah, it's a pretty smooth experience with DLSS Performance. No stuttering, nothing like that, so pretty smooth. And we are keeping the same settings but on DLAA and no frame generation. So this is the default settings, nothing changed. It's all mixed and DLAA. So here we go. We're getting 45 FPS, which is pretty bad. Okay, and you can see the latency is like over 100 milliseconds. So it definitely feels sluggish. It is really noticeable. When you move the mouse around, the latency is absolutely noticeable because you're not getting 60 FPS. Okay, so that's why the latency is terrible. You're using about 11 GB of VRAM right here, and the card is over 60 degree here, so still not bad. It's like really good thermals. Alright guys, so yeah, really bad on DLAA. And now let's try turning on DLSS Performance with the same settings and see if we can get more than 60 FPS. And yes, we are well above 60, actually 80 FPS right now with 50 to 60 milliseconds latency, which is really good. I mean, not great, but it's actually playable, okay? You will not notice any latency with anywhere from 30 to 60 milliseconds. It's pretty much enjoyable. You will not notice pretty much any latency. So yeah, it was a really smooth experience on performance with the same settings, mixed up medium-high settings, right? So yeah, this is enjoyable. If you want to play like this on 4K, absolutely go ahead and play like this on a 5060 Ti, but it's sad to see. You should be able to max it out and play like this instead of mixed settings. But it is what it is. Okay, now let's try high preset without frame generation and on DLSS Performance. See how that goes. Let's just branch out from the game's default settings and just see how it goes on high preset. And as you guys can see, we are getting more than 60 FPS, staying above 70 most of the time. Looking at the GPU memory usage, we are still about 8 GB. Okay, so if you have an 8 GB version of this card, you will see a lot more stutters, which is unfortunate because there is an 8 GB card for this. Like, why? NVIDIA is just, giving a like Jensen's biggest middle finger up in the air to all the gamers out there who don't have enough money to buy the greatest 5090. But yeah, it is. It's like this. It's really sad to see this. Okay, so yeah, you will be able to play like this on 70 something FPS on high preset with DLSS Performance. And now finally on 4K we are going Ray Tracing Overdrive on Performance DLSS with 4X FrameGen. Okay, this is what NVIDIA wants you to play this game at on all of these 50 series cards with 4x frame gen to, give you those sweet little FPS. But look at the latency. It's over 150 at times. And yes, it feels absolutely terrible. It takes about a second to actually, feel the movement in the game after you turn your mouse around. It's that horrible. Yes, it looks smooth, but who the hell needs smooth gameplay if the feeling of the movement is absolutely terrible, right? And this is what Nvidia is trying to sell us, guys. Like, we all know this is a bullshit, but yeah, this is what they think is the perfect experience, according to Jensen.
We're only rendering 1 out of 10 pixels, and it's perfect.
Alright, so yeah, that's it for 4K. Now let's turn the settings down to 1440p and see what's up. Okay, now on 1440p on DLAA native high preset. Let's see if you're able to get 60 FPS. Well, disappointingly, nope, not possible on the 5060 Ti 16GB, because we are only getting 40 something FPS. Yeah, I know. How bad is it, right? In 2025. This game is 5 years old, and this card that just came out can't even run Cyberpunk on high settings native. What a joke. I cannot wait to see how this is gonna be on the regular 5060, not even the Ti version. It's gonna be even worse, isn't it? So yeah, 60 FPS not possible. Still using almost 8GB of VRAM. So it's gonna be interesting on the 8GB card. Okay, now let's try balanced DLSS on the same high preset. It should get a 60 FPS. Well, yeah, it does, because it's actually rendering from 720p, because it's balanced upscaling on 1440p, so it's 720p upscaled to 1440p, and yes, we're getting close to 100 FPS, sometimes even crossing 100 FPS. Still almost close to using 8GB of VRAM. And the GPU power is like 150 something watts. That's the only good side about this card, okay? That it doesn't use a lot of power. So if you want to save your electricity bill, this is a good card. But for performance, nope. Let's try quality instead, because we're getting close to 100 FPS. It's a little too smooth for my liking. So let's see on quality settings. So it's actually 1080p upscaled to 1440p on high settings, and we are getting almost pretty much the same FPS, but keep in mind it's like an open area, and my card just got ass packed in the middle of the street, and I deserve it for being an absolute buffoon. But yeah, you can see the latency is like a 40 to 50 milliseconds, which is perfectly in the playable range, might say. And yeah, you can play it like this if you want to. This is a really good playable experience right here. Okay, now let's crank up the settings to Ray Tracing Ultra with DLSS Performance and no motion blur, of course, and see if it's an enjoyable experience. And we are definitely getting more than 60 FPS, but you know what? It's actually not that bad, because it's staying under 60 milliseconds latency. So, and yeah, there's no frame gen, so this is a playable experience, I can say. But you have to turn the settings down to DLSS Performance. And 1440p, it's not the best visually speaking, because at this point you can actually see the small blurriness of the upscaler. So yeah, but you can definitely get more than 60 FPS with the ray tracing, without any path tracing though. And now finally on 1440p, let's max it out with the ray tracing overdrive and DLSS Performance with frame generation X4, and we're getting 150 something FPS with the latency of 80 milliseconds, which is not the worst, but it's definitely noticeable. So it's not as bad as you play it on 4K, but yeah, 80 milliseconds is absolutely noticeable. With path tracing, it's not going to be a smooth experience with this card. That's the case for 1440p. I don't know how it's going to be on 1080p, but we'll find it out soon. So yeah, 1440p, it is playable on certain settings, but not with path tracing on, that's for sure. Alright, now finally on 1080p, let's try DLAA native settings on ultra preset. So no path tracing, no frame gen, no ray tracing, is just ultra settings. And let's see, getting 80 FPS. So on 1080p you can actually play without any fancy stuff and get more than 60 FPS, but still no ray tracing though. So the ray tracing course on this card is like 36 or something like that, so it is really bad. So which is why if you turn ray tracing on, it's gonna perform really poorly. So if you don't turn it on, you should be fine, just like you can see here. So this is the maximum settings without any ray tracing on 1080p. Which sucks on a 16 GB card in 2025, which costs more than $500, right? So 80 FPS. So this is playable with a 50 to 60 millisecond delay. Absolutely fine, but yeah. Alright, now moving on to ray tracing ultra on DLSS quality settings with no frame gen. And we are still getting about 80 FPS. And still you can see the GPU memory is about 8 GB. Alright, so even on 1080p upscaling, you need more than 8 GB of VRAM to actually do ray tracing in Cyberpunk. Oh my gosh, bro. Whoever buying those 8 GB cards, I pray for you. I hope you are doing really well in your life, right? And never make a mistake like this again. But yeah, bro, I feel really bad for you. Alright, now it's time to see the actual path tracing performance on this card. So let's crank everything all the way up, ray tracing overdrive and native settings. No upscaling bullshit, no frame generation, no fake frames, none of that. Actual rasterization with path tracing on 1080p. And we're getting not even 30 FPS. Yes. So the actual performance of the 5060 Ti right here. And it's using almost 12 GB of VRAM. So to max out path tracing on 1080p, you need a 12 GB card. Actually more than 12 GB, because if you just got 12 GB, it's going to actually utilize like 9 to 10 GB actually, and allocate some for other activity, right? So I'm still not getting 30 FPS. It's the actual true performance of the 5060 Ti right here. Okay, let's try with a little bit of DLSS upscaling. Let's try DLSS performance on ray tracing overdrive 1080p. So that gets us to 60 FPS actually, with 60 to 70 millisecond delay. The PC latency actually, yeah, it's like staying 50 to 60. It's not terrible. This is playable, and because it's DLSS 4, the visual degradation is not that visible. This is actually playable though. If you have a 1080p monitor, this is absolutely fine, but on 4K monitor, playing on 1080p and DLSS performance, you can see the blurriness noticeably. Okay, now last but not least, let's try the same settings with frame generation 4x and see how that is, and which will get you to about 200 FPS, almost maxing out my refresh rate, and with the latency of 60 to 70 milliseconds, which is definitely playable. And here you don't notice a big delay because you're getting solid FPS on DLSS upscaling. So a solid 60 FPS base and frame generation will work wonders, and that's the way it's meant to be played, right? So this is playable, but do I recommend it? Nope. If you are getting like this type of performance without frame gen and with just upscaling performance, yeah, but this is 1080p, right? So the 5060 Ti is definitely disappointing, as you guys can see here. So the best recommended settings from me, from the testing so far, is gonna be 1440p and high settings with DLSS quality. So yeah, this is a 5060 Ti, and mostly every gamer out there got a 1440p monitor. So if you have a 1440p monitor and have this card and you want to play Cyberpunk, the best settings is 1440p DLSS quality, high settings. no ray tracing. If you put ray tracing on, you definitely have to turn on frame gen to get solid smooth frames, but it's going to introduce input delay, so it's not worth it. Or you can just keep it on ultra and turn on DLSS performance. That can also give you pretty solid FPS. So those are my actual recommendations. So yeah guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, and let me know in the comments below what you think of the 5060 Ti. Alright, so yeah, if you guys did enjoy the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more benchmarks. And I hope you guys are having a great time wherever you are. I'll catch you guys in the next video, and peace out.